Hello and welcome to the DSR Daily. Happy Cinco de Mayo to all of you who are celebrating. I know Riley Fessler here is already 3 or 4 pitchers of margaritas into a celebration for today.
I wish.
Well, it's early. It's early. I'm, of course, David Rothkopf, of course, and that's Riley Fessler. And we're joined by Minna Stein. How are you celebrating Cinco de Mayo, Minna?
I'm celebrating it tomorrow in the traditional fashion. My friends are busy with work today, so we decided to celebrate tomorrow.
You know, the traditional Jewish fashion would actually have had you celebrate it last night. Tomorrow, there's almost no tradition of celebrating it the day after. But I suppose you'll be sitting at home then watching the Met Gala.
Of course, definitely.
Which is going to celebrate black dandies, fine tailoring, some kind of tailoring. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Black men's fashion. So I will be in my sweats doing armchair fashion criticism.
Well, I can't
to no one.
Tomorrow, you go sign up for tomorrow's episode of DSR Daily because you will get Minna's Met Gala fashion criticism. Well, you know, we can also call this podcast, as we've commented before, What Fresh Hell Is This? Because, you know, you get through a weekend of Trump and there's all sorts of new things that we can talk about. So who's going to kick us off on What Fresh Hell Is This?
I am. The expiration of the de minimis exemption, which allowed duty-free imports under $800, is expected to significantly increase the cost of low-priced goods from Chinese e-commerce giants like Temu and Shein, with new tariffs as high as 145%. The change could hit low-income American households hardest, as nearly half of these shipments go to the country's poorest zip codes, leading some companies to shift towards more expensive local fulfillment. As major carriers and government agencies prepare for stricter inspections and higher fees, consumer backlash and rising costs may further fuel concerns over the economic impact of Trump-era trade policies. Additionally, President Trump stated that the U.S. is in talks with several countries, including China, to negotiate trade deals, emphasizing his top goal is to secure a fair agreement with China. While he doesn't plan to speak directly with Chinese President Xi Jinping, U.S. officials are in ongoing discussions with their Chinese counterparts.
Yeah, maybe they are. The Chinese regularly say they're not. The U.S. officials say, oh, no, we're in discussions. The Chinese go, well, no, we've had inquiries about discussions, but we're not going to have discussions unless they're serious about discussions. And you could tell how serious Trump was about the discussions because over the weekend, he decided he was going to put 100% tariff on movies made outside the United States because movies made outside the United States were a national security threat. And so, you know, which, you know, clearly the Harry Potter movies are, and Love Actually is definitely a national security threat and an affront to all of our sensibilities. You know, we could go on the list, because, you know, of course, those foreign movies, you know what they have in them that we don't want to hear in this country, right? No, nothing from you guys?
Criticism.
Correct. Well, that's possible, but also foreign languages. We don't like that. Everything that's not in English will soon be under tariff. And of course, you know, Riley, who gets all of his wardrobe from Temu, is in big trouble here.
Yeah. Now I'll have to spend $5 for a shirt instead of $2.
Yeah. Well, that would be double. That would be double the Temu. Have you ever used Temu, Riley?
No, I actually haven't.
Have you, Minna?
No, never.
Yeah. Have you ever ordered from any of those Chinese websites?
Mm-mm.
Like
I haven't either.
Taobao.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Excellent. Has full of many great bargains. Well, I'm sure everybody, when they were done with listening to this podcast, can go and listen to Taobao, which, by the way, is not the sponsor of this podcast. But we're treating you so we're. Riley, what do you have as a story for this Monday morning?
In a wide-ranging NBC interview, President Trump was non-committal about due process rights for both citizens and non-citizens while defending the mistaken deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He dismissed the likelihood of military action to make Canada the 51st state, but expressed openness to using force regarding Greenland. Trump downplayed recession concerns and economic criticism, attributing problems to Biden's past leadership and defending his tariffs. He also played down talk of a third presidential term, praised possible successors like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, and denied profiting from the presidency despite ongoing business ventures, including cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it was, alive from beginning to end, except for the parts where it was a display of ignorance or arrogance. I think the part that most people have zeroed in on is the part where he said that he didn't know if he really had to uphold the Constitution. That seems concerning, particularly since the only thing it says in the Constitution the president's got to do is to swear an oath of office, which says he's going to uphold the Constitution. So you would think that was kind of front of mind for somebody who was a president, but apparently not our president, who is willing to blaze new trails, to be innovative, not to be constrained by ancient documents, to try new techniques in government, including, throwing people out of the country for no good reason, without due process. It was chilling interview, and I personally came away from it feeling worse than I had before, and that's kind of remarkable given how bad I felt before the interview. Minna?
President Trump announced that Stephen Miller is a leading contender to become National Security Advisor following the dismissal of Mike Waltz, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio currently filling in the role temporarily. Trump praised Miller's influence and involvement in key decisions, suggesting he already plays an unofficial role in national security matters. Although the final decision may take up to 6 months, Miller is being seriously considered due to his trusted status within the administration.
Well, I've written a few books about the NSC. You guys know that because I mention it here whenever I get the chance, because I know people are going to want to rush out and buy my books on the NSC, starting with Running the World, the Inside Story of the National Security Council and the Architects of American Power. And in the course of doing that, I talked to virtually every living national security advisor, from those who served back in the 60s to those who served in our current time. I'm glad I wrote the book before now, because if Stephen Miller were to become National Security Advisor, I would not want to talk to him. I have to say, he would be the creepiest National Security Advisor in our history. And remember, Henry Kissinger was our National Security Advisor. And he would be incredibly dangerous. Of course, he's in no way qualified to hold the job. In fact is in many ways disqualified from holding the job. But see, here's a little thing about that National Security Advisor that some of you may not know. And that is the National Security Advisor to the President of the United States does not require Senate confirmation, because he's a White House aide. And those jobs, for the most part, do not require Senate confirmation to give the president the greatest latitude he can possibly have in picking the people he wants around him. Of course, if Stephen Miller were to become National Security Advisor, we would see more of what is a common approach in this administration, which is to declare things national security emergencies and thus give the president supposed latitude to do things in violation of the law, good sense, or human decency. And that would worry me the most. What would worry me the most is if Stephen Miller were the National Security Advisor and some people did a demonstration, he would say they were terrorists. He would say we had to send in the troops. We would say we would have to put into place the Insurrection Act. And frankly, that takes us yet another big step towards the worst form of authoritarian government. I don't say, to authoritarian government, because in case you've missed it, we're already there. Riley.
Israel has approved a new plan to capture and potentially occupy the entire Gaza Strip indefinitely, significantly escalating its military operations amid the ongoing war with Hamas. The move includes mass displacement of Palestinians to southern Gaza and aims to prevent Hamas from distributing humanitarian aid, a strategy that has drawn sharp criticism from aid organizations and international bodies. The plan also includes using private security firms and facial recognition technology to control aid distribution, which the UN says would weaponize humanitarian supplies as a pressure tactic.
Sounds pretty awful. I know that we predicted this is what would happen when Trump became president, and we are now on to new horrors. And every major newspaper this morning has stories about these horrors being compounded, and nobody's going to stop them. It's just going to continue. And the people who thought that the Biden administration had a bad track record on this and so voted against Kamala Harris, you own this. You own this carnage, this human catastrophe. And I just hope we don't grow numb to it as it gets worse and worse over the months ahead. Nana?
President Trump announced plans to reopen and expand Alcatraz as a high-security prison to detain the most violent and repeat offenders, calling it a symbol of law, order, and justice. He directed multiple federal agencies, including the Bureau of Prisons and the Department of Justice, to begin the process, though key details like funding and a timeline remain unclear. The move has sparked questions about its feasibility and appears tied to a broader immigration and criminal justice theme central to Trump's political messaging.
Yeah, well, once a developer, always looking for great real estate opportunities. Now he's focused, of course, on two kinds of development: concentration camp development here in the United States, and the development of Trump resorts and casinos around the world where he, can profit. Alcatraz seems like a kind of a bad development idea. For one reason, Alcatraz was shut down because it was twice as expensive as every other prison, because everything that you needed to run a prison on the island, from water to food, had to be brought to the island via a boat because it's an island. You following me here? Of course, beyond that, assuming they could come up with the money, and their budgets are cuckoo crazy, so I don't doubt the Republicans would vote for it. This would take years and years and years. Trump will be long gone, and this project will be canceled, if not during the Trump administration, immediately after the Trump administration. So if you were saying, dang, I didn't get to go on the tour of Alcatraz that I wanted to go on before, don't worry about it. It'll be a kind of creepy tourist site again in no time at all. Well, there you are. It's Monday. Things are starting. And it's pretty scary. But we're not afraid of showing up here every day and trying to wade through the news and describe for you what we think it may mean. And we'll do that on all our podcasts too this week, all the ones we usually do. We're going to have a special podcast this week, by the way, with some of our best friends who are specialists, looking at the absolute disaster that is unfolding in American healthcare. Why are we doing this? Because it's much worse than you think. And it's going to affect everybody that you know. And people are going to die, and the ones who aren't going to die are going to suffer. And the ones who aren't going to die and suffer are going to go broke trying to stay alive in Trump's America. And I think we need to talk about it because so many other things are happening. We let these things slide through the crack. So we're going to do what we do, which is bring in experts to discuss it. But we'll also have Deep State Radio. We'll have Words Matter. We'll have Soul Consciousness. We'll have AI and Climate and Energy. We'll have all the podcasts that we do here. And you should join us for them. And then if you are not already a member, go to the dsrnetwork.com, click on membership, become a member, support what we're doing here. It's really important. It's what pays for the margaritas that Riley depends on every Cinco de Mayo. And also, everybody's salary and the rent and stuff like that. So become a member, and we'll see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.